Hey buddy, your blinker's going kind of fast.
Really? Oh yeah, I'll have to check that out. Hey friends, it's Len here from 1A Auto. Today we've got a vehicle in the shop and we're going to be diagnosing a directional issue. If you need any parts, as always, check us out, 1aauto.com. Thanks. Now when it comes time to checking your lights, it's a great idea to check them all at the same time. It's also much easier if you have a second person to do it because you're going to need somebody in there to step on the brake pedal and of course run the directionals. So with that said, we're going to grab an extra person and we're going to get this started. Okay, let's see what this guy's talking about. Let's go ahead and run the lights. You want to turn on the running lights? Those look good. We've got our plate lights under here. We've got both running lights on both sides. That's awesome. Let's go ahead and step on the brakes. Both brake lights are working, and of course our third brake light. This is super important. Go ahead and hit the reverse. Oh yeah, both reverse lights are working. You want to make sure you have both and not just one. Awesome. Go ahead and turn those off. Thank you. Let's run the directionals. You want to do a right? All right, so we've got our right directional running right here. That looks perfect. You want to make sure that it's not blinking super fast. Let's try the left side. Yeah, well, here we go. So that's what that guy's talking about right here. Our left side directional in the rear is blinking fast. So we know it's working. It's getting power coming back here, so that's great news. The next thing we need to do is figure out why it's blinking fast. Let's go to the front of the vehicle and check it out. All right, so let's check out what's going on in the front of the vehicle. Let's turn on the headlights. Okay, so we've got both side headlights and of course the fog lights turned on at the same time. That's great. Both of those are on. If I look along the side, I can see there's a marker light here. There's a secondary marker light, which also looks like it's supposed to be a directional bulb in there. That looks good. We'll come over here. I've got my outside marker light, but this one doesn't seem like it's lighting up right here. So we definitely have a marker bulb out. Let's run those high beams. Oh yeah, high beams are nice and bright. Fog lights turn off like they should at the same time. Perfect. Okay, let's do the right side directional. Yep, that looks awesome. And the left? Yep. All right, so we're gonna have to check this out. All right, so now it's time to get into it. We're just gonna need a couple simple tools we need to be able to see. So you need a flashlight, you need hand protection, of course, and if you have one of these little test lights, that's gonna come in handy. We figured out approximately where the problem is. We know that it's on the left front, right? All the other directionals worked, so we don't necessarily think that it's gonna be a fuse problem or even a relay problem. If for some reason, neither of the left side directionals worked, the front or the rear, then we know that we're gonna have to check something a little bit different here, or even if none of the directionals worked. If none of the directionals worked, you wanna make sure you check your fuse and of course your relay. Now, if one side of your vehicle's directionals were working and the complete opposite side wasn't working at all, more than likely it's gonna be due to this right here, which is called your vehicle's multifunction switch. If it didn't work, there's an issue internally and you need to replace the unit. For our instance, we have one directional out on the left front here, so that's exactly where we're gonna do all of our work. We're gonna locate where the bulb's supposed to be. So if I look right here, I can see the headlamp, right? That's not the issue. I'm gonna go a little bit further in, and that's where I can see the socket for the directional bulb. I'm gonna turn that to the left and get it out of there. Okay, so we can see the bulb here, and we can also see the socket. Let's go ahead and remove the bulb. And when you remove the bulb, you're gonna wanna pay attention to those filaments on the inside, and they're a little bit hard to see right now through the bulb. But if you can see that they're broken in any way, you need to replace it. It's also a great idea to check to see if it looks like the bulb's discolored in any way. If it looks like it's black in one area or even swollen, like it heated up too much, you know you're gonna have to replace it as well. Now, if you look right along here, we have a much clearer view of those filaments that I'm talking about. It has two. That tells me that this is not only a directional, but it's also a running light. It has two functions. If either of those is broken, you need to replace the bulb. The next thing we're gonna do is remove the socket from the pigtail. To do that, you can squeeze this little tab right here and draw off the socket. Now you want to look into these terminal ends right here. This is where it's going to make connection to the bulb. You can see those little prongs on the bulb. That's where the current's going to go through, the electrical current. Now looking inside here, if you happen to see any corrosion, some blue or green or any funny colors like that, you might be able to just clean it up and you could probably get away with it for a while. If any of the prongs are broken or misshaped in any way, you're going to want to replace this socket. Another good place to look is on the back side. This is the area where the harness is going to go into. If either of those prongs are broken or damaged, or even like I said, corroded, you're gonna need to take care of that as well. Let's go ahead and set this aside. And now we're gonna take a look right at the wiring directly. So I've got the wiring harness here, and you can see where the connector is. This is the pigtail aspect of it. If you look right inside there, you can see little metal connectors. If they're rusted, or corroded, or discolored in any way, you're gonna either need to clean them, or of course replace this pigtail right here. This one actually looks really good. and I can see the rubber seal down along the bottom side there. If it looks like it's missing, that's going to obviously cause an issue because moisture can get inside there and it's going to wreak havoc on the whole electrical system. This one looks great, so we can move along to testing for power. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is go ahead and put the key in the on position. The vehicle doesn't necessarily have to be running. Go ahead and put on your running lights and put on your left directional. And now we're going to go back to the front of the vehicle and we'll continue testing. Now it's going to be time to test for power up at the front here. To do that, we're going to use this test light, like I said before, and we're going to ground this out right to the negative battery terminal. You can also ground it out to maybe an engine mount or something like that, or to the frame. I'm going to start all the way over on the left, and let's see if this lights up. Okay, so I have nothing lighting up. That could either be a ground, or it could also be an issue. Let's keep moving. This is a nice solid light. That's telling me that that's for the running lights, and it's lighting up perfectly, and it's definitely not fading in and out. That looks great. Let's move along. All right, here we go. So now I've got this one blinking. That's telling me that this is for the directional, and it's also telling me that the directional has power. With that said, this one having power like it's supposed to, this one having power like it's also supposed to, and this one not having anything, that tells me that this should be ground. All right, so that's how to do it with the test light. Let's set that aside. Now we're going to go ahead and try it with this multimeter, which is also available at 1aauto.com, by the way. I'm going to set this right over there to the 20 volts. All right, set it down. I'm just going to test it. I'm going to go right on the negative with the black, right on the positive with the red, and we're going to test this battery. Looks like I'm about a little bit below 12 volts. The battery's a little low, could use a charge, but it's definitely something there. The next thing we're going to do is take our negative lead, and we're going to go right to the negative terminal on the battery. Now we're just going to start testing this down here. I'm going to start with the one that I believe was the ground. I should have no voltage. That's perfect. I'm going to move on over. This is the one for the running lights. It looks like we're sitting at just under that 12 volts, which is the same as what the battery voltage was. That's good. That means we're getting power to the running lights. Let's move right along over here. And we can see this is fluctuating, which is great. The reason why it looks all messed up like that basically is just because it's blinking so fast, the voltage is changing too fast for the multimeter to keep up with, but we can definitely tell that we do have some voltage going there and it looks pretty decent. So now that we know we have power on both those terminals like we should, we need to make sure we have ground as well because it's not going to work if it doesn't have ground. Continuing with the multimeter, set to the 20 volts here, we're going to put our positive right on the positive battery terminal, just like that. Now we're going to be testing for ground with this one right here. I'm going to go right to that wire that we were believing that was the ground. And if this shows that we've got voltage running through the system, we know that we've got ground. That looks great. Now that we've checked for voltage and ground and we know that we're doing all right, let's get our socket back on the pigtail. Push it in, listen for a click. We're going to try this bulb, brand new. All right, I'm going to go turn those lights off and we'll do them one at a time to make sure they work as they should. Okay, so we've got running lights. Now I'm going to turn those off, directional. That looks perfect. So now we figured out that for this particular application it was a bulb issue. But let's go ahead and assume that for some reason, maybe we didn't have power going down here. Let's try to figure that out real quick. Now going with the idea that we don't actually have any power going down to this bulb and socket, we need to start testing a couple other things. There's going to be a fuse in line, of course. That's going to make sure that if you have any voltage spikes or anything like that, it's not necessarily going to burn out any wires, it's going to burn out the fuse ahead of time. So if something like that was to happen, the fuse is probably going to be blown. We're going to go ahead and look inside the fuse box and see if we can find where that fuse is at. There's also something else called a relay that you're going to want to check. On this particular vehicle, it's actually inside of the instrument cluster, so I can't actually take it out and show you what it looks like on this one, but there is other relays, so I can kind of give you an idea of what to look for. Let's come right under the hood, and we're going to go to the fuse box. You can see it located right here. It says relay and fuse. Some vehicles have them under the hood, some vehicles have them inside the car as well. Keep that in mind. If you were to look right down along here, you can see all of your fuses. You can see some relays, and of course some wiring. If you were to look on the back side of this cover, it's going to give you a little treasure map of things you should look for. We want to look for one that says turn/hazards. So if I look right down along there, I can see one that says turn/hazards, and it's a 15 amp fuse. We're going to check that one for power. Now checking for power, we're going to do it the exact same way as we did before. You can either use that multimeter or of course you can use the test light. So if we look right here, we've got our 15 amp fuse. We're going to be testing for power on both prongs of that. It's super important to make sure you have power on both sides. To do that, we're going to use our multimeter. We're going to set it to voltage and we're going to go to 20 volts because this is only a 12 volt system, so that should more than cover it. Take your black lead and go to your negative battery terminal and just go ahead and leave it right on there. Now we're going to go ahead and test both leads, like I said. We've got this one right here. It's showing us we've got our full battery voltage here. It is a low battery, we know. We'll test the other side, and that has power as well. That's telling me that this fuse is good. If for some reason I tested one side and it had power, and then I tested the other side and it didn't show me any voltage, then I would know that there's an issue with the fuse. Let's go with an assumption that we believe that there's an issue with the fuse now. If you were to look at the backside of your legend box here, you're going to see this little thing right here. And it's not just a little pretty trinket, it's actually a nice specific tool. You can grab it like that, and then this is right where we're going to grab onto the fuse. So the next thing that I'm going to do is remove the key from the vehicle, or at least turn off the power before I remove the fuse. Once I've done that, we'll take it out and I'll show you what to test for. All right, so we get the key off. Let's grab that 15 amp fuse with our handy dandy tool here. We'll lift it right up. So now looking at the fuse, you can see right through it. You can see the little conductor that's behind the plastic there, and that part's the most important part. If you're looking at it and you can see that it's not actually making a full connection anymore, or you can see that the fuse looks like it's black or discolored in any way, more than likely the fuse is no good. If for some reason you can't tell just by looking at it, you can also test it, and I'll show you how to do that with your multimeter. The way that we're going to test this fuse is to actually put our multimeter on ohms, and that's the thing that looks a little bit like a horseshoe right there, upside down, and we're going to set it right to the 200 because it doesn't really need to be super high, to be honest with you. The next thing that we're going to do is just take both leads and we're going to connect it on both sides. You should watch this number drop down to 0. It might take a little while, or it might even stop at like 0.2 or something like that, because there is going to be a little bit of resistance. This really doesn't look too bad. Yep, 0.2, perfect. If you happen to see that it was doing like this when you had them both connected, then you know that the inside right there is no good. So I'm just going to reconnect it so you can see. Put it right on there, and it's changing. That's telling me that the voltage is going right through both prongs of this, and it's not having any issue communicating. This fuse is great. Now we're going to go with the assumption that you found that that fuse is bad. There's going to be a whole bunch of options for fuses, and it might be a little bit confusing, so I just kind of want to dabble into it and show you a couple options to look for. If you were to come right down here, you're going to see the fuse that we started with originally. You're going to see what's known as a maxi fuse right here. Then you have a mini, and then you have what's known as a micro fuse. As you can tell, they go big, small, smaller. Overall, the reason for that is because, well, in older vehicles, they had a lot less things going on inside, like the computer system and whatnot. And as more and more computer type things went on, they needed more and more fuses because each thing has to have its own specific fuse in case something, God forbid, happens. So they went to this. But then more and more stuff started getting involved, and these fuse boxes can't take up the whole engine compartment, so they had to go with something a little bit more like this. It still does a great job, it just doesn't necessarily take up nearly as much space. Now, if we were going with replacing our 15 amp micro fuse here, we would want to obviously match it up. Yeah, this one's blue, and it does actually say 15 right on it, but that's not going to fit in the hole. Could you try this one? Those prongs do kind of look like they line up a little bit. Maybe it'll work, but it's probably going to be shooting right up and out of that box, and it's not necessarily what's cut out for the vehicle the way that the manufacturer intended it. So would I go with this fuse? Maybe in a pinch, but I'm going to go with a big no. The next thing we want to pay attention to is we have a fuse that looks just like it. That's great. But this one right here is a different color. And the reason why it's a different color is to let you know visually that it's a different amperage fuse. Now, if you were to come right up here to look at this box, this is the box that has the micro fuses in it. It's going to tell you all the different amperages right along here. And it pretty much is going to be the same for any type of fuse. So if you have a blue fuse, it doesn't matter if it's a micro, the mini, or even the large ones, it's still going to be blue. The reason for that is because everybody can kind of determine the blue is 15, the red is 10, and so on, basically, okay? We're not going to install this one because it's the wrong amperage. If you put in the wrong amperage, you could cause detrimental damage to your engine or even the computer system inside your vehicle. This is super important to make sure you go ahead and you find yourself another 15 amp fuse. Now that we know we have a matching or corresponding fuse, it's the same color, it's the same amperage, and we know that the conductor inside is good, let's go ahead and pop it inside the vehicle and make sure it works. Brand new 15 amp, we'll slide it in and we're gonna test it out. That looks like it's working perfectly. All right, so we checked the fuse, we know we had power there. Like I was saying before, there's something else that you need to look for, and that's called a relay. It's gonna look something like this, and it's gonna have several prongs along the bottom. It's not necessarily gonna be this particular one, but I wanted to give you something to look at. Something that's great about relays is they make an audible sound when they get a little bit of power. So when that directional turns on, you're going to hear it. I'm going to give you a little example of that. I'll plug this one back in where I got it from, because that's super important to put things back where you got them from. And now let's give it a listen. Okay, so we can hear it clicking. That means we know that that relay's good. Awesome. So now that we know that the fuse and the relays are good, you're just going to want to go ahead and check your vehicle's wiring. Pick one end and start there. All right, so we found our problem. Of course, the next thing you want to do is make sure you seal this up. You don't want any moisture getting in there, and we're just going to do one last check of the bulb to make sure that it functions properly. Nice. Okay, friends, hopefully we found your problem, and hopefully it wasn't any of this mess. If you liked the video, make sure you smash on that like button. While you're at it, go ahead and subscribe and ring the bell. That way there you'll be kept up with all of our latest content. And if you got something to say, leave it in the comments section below. I'd love to hear it. Thanks.
Thanks for watching. Visit 1aauto.com for quality auto parts shipped to your door, the place for DIY auto repair. And if you enjoyed this video, please click the subscribe button.
Now I just need to figure out where all this goes.